So this is the MC-202 sewing machine that I ordered from Alibaba.com. It came with the table and electronic servo motor. It has the foot pedals and thread stand. And it shipped with the table and the motor unassembled. So there's not really anything you have to do to the machine when it comes, other than tighten up all the internal components. But the machine is assembled, you just have to make sure you tighten up everything inside so that in case any of the bolts came loose during shipping, they're not loose when you go to use the machine. Other than that, the table needed to be assembled, have the legs and the foot pedals and everything put on. The motor is in 3 parts, and those had to be attached. Also, the thread stand had to be attached, and then you need to attach the belt. The belt that mine came with was a little too big, so I ended up getting a different size belt. And then it also came with a chain instead of a cable here for this foot pedal, and I just didn't like the chain. I kept coming off because it was on with S-hooks, so I replaced it with a cable. As far as the machine goes, I really like it. Mechanically, it is the same as my name brand sewing machine, first sewing machine. There's a few differences, a few updates in the housing. My older name brand sewing machine has a rubber gasket here that seeps oil a little bit. So there's an oil reservoir on the bottom with about a ½ inch of oil and an internal pump that circulates the oil. So anyway, my older machine would seep oil out of a gasket that was here. This one has this tray that looks like it will prevent oil seeping, so that's nice. They're both self-oiling, and this one has a whole tray to distribute the oil, and that's how you'd get in there to tighten up all those little parts and pieces, make sure nothing's loose before you use it. It takes the same size needles as my other machine. It also will take a different needle system that is smaller on the butt end, so it can take a couple different needle systems that are readily available. That's nice. And it sews just as well as my older machine. The thing that I really like about the motor that it came with is it has more control than the motor on my old machine. You can change the speed, so that's all the way down at 200, and if it's set at 200, you can put the pedal to the floor and it won't go any faster than this. And then of course you can bump up the speed. Let's go to like 600, and it'll top it at that speed. And if you go up higher, okay, 4,500 is the top speed. It'll go really, really fast. So back down to 200 for demonstration. So it's nice to have that option to set the top speed slow. If you wanted it to go slower than that, you could install a speed reducer. A box style would be my recommendation for a speed reducer if you need one, but you might not. So let me grab some fur and I'll show you how it sews. So I have some raccoon fur here that's pretty thin. Show you how that goes. So that's a really nice seam. If I was using a thinner thread and a smaller needle, I could get it to be even a little bit finer if I wanted, but that looks really nice. And then I have some thicker beaver hide, and it performed really well at the class over the weekend for sewing mittens. No complaints there, although I did learn, as I mentioned, that you have to tighten up all of the internal components before use. So I didn't do that, and we had something come a little bit loose during the class that caused an issue that was able to be fixed, thankfully, by a couple of the attendees. They got it fixed back up. So, good lesson learned. Tighten it up when you get it, and we can go up and do more of like an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. It does well with that. We can go back down and do a really small 0 seam allowance. And we did use it with thicker thread during the class for making the mittens. It did well with that. Really, I have no complaints about the machine. I really like it. If you want one, you can order the MC-202 off of Alibaba. With shipping and tax, it's between $600 and $700. If you did not want to bother with the assembly and getting it set up and getting it tuned in for sewing, then if you're within driving distance, you could purchase one from me. I have them listed on my website. Current price for that is $1,200, which might go up depending on how much time really ends up being involved in that process for me, but that's the price I'm starting with. We're going to go with that. If you're coming to a class, you could pick it up at the class, and I probably will try to have one for sale at each of the classes also, so you could kind of try it and buy it if you wanted to. If you have any questions about them, let me know.